next video, we have a question here, and it says, how about the rest of the graph? Because we've been looking at slopes of graphs, we've been looking at how steep is the line. Is the slope positive? Is the slope negative? Is it flat, so it has a slope of 0? Or is it straight up and down and would require Spider-Man to climb it, which would be a slope of undefined? So today we're going to look at sketching the graph. I can sketch the graph of a line in slope-intercept form. What form is that? Slope-intercept form. We've learned what slope is, and we've learned that slope is represented by the letter M. Okay. Intercept. Intercept means where it crosses. It's like an intersection. Where it crosses. Think football for a second. When the ball is intercepted by the opposing team, the opposing team crossed the path of the ball and came away with the ball. So the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And the intercept is actually the y-intercept, and we recognize it by the letter b. So let's break this formula down. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, 4 components. Y. Well, y is y. It is the dependent variable. The y in an independent-dependent relationship is always the dependent variable. We've learned what m is. M is the symbol for slope. And it is always easiest to graph if your slope is a fraction. So you want your slope to be a fraction. Okay? X. Well, in an independent-dependent relationship, X is always independent variable. And the B. When we are talking about slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b form, the b is the y-intercept. And that actually means, where does the graph cross the y-axis? Where does the graph cross the y-axis? So let's try. They're asking us to graph this line. This is a line when we graph it. It says that y is equal to 2 times x plus 1. My slope is 2. And if I put this, y equals mx plus b, and write that down, I get the 2 because 2 is the number in front of the x, and the slope is the number in front of the x. So the slope is 2, but it is best to have it as a fraction. How can I turn a whole number into a fraction? I can put it over 1. Now it is a fraction. And my b is this plus number. Okay, so my b equals 1. Now we're going to remember that slope is the same as rise over run. So the rise over the run is equal to 2 over 1. So I'm going to want to rise 2 and run 1. Let's actually pull up a coordinate plane and look at going to graph this line, if we think about our alphabet for a second, M comes after B in the alphabet. B comes before M in an alphabet. A, B, C, B comes before M. So B is where I start. And I put 1 point on the y-axis at the number 1. So the y-axis is here, the x-axis is here. I want to put a point on the y-axis at the number 1. That would be right here. In my slope, my rise over my run is 2 over 1. So I'm going to rise 2, 1, 2. I'm going to run in a positive direction 1, and I'm going to put another point. I run in a positive direction because this number is positive. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 1, and I'm going to put a point. And I'm going to rise 2 and run 1 and put another point. Because a line continues on forever. So rising 2, running 1, and putting a point. Now, what if I went backwards? I can go backwards. I don't want just this piece of the line from the y-axis on. I also want the piece of the line from to the left. So if I'm going backwards, I'm going to do it backwards. And if I'm going backwards, thinking backwards, 1, 2, 1. There's a point. 1, 2, 1. There's a point. And I can continue on backwards all the way if I want to. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Now I have a lot of points on my line, and I can draw this line. Just like that. And I have graphed the equation y equals 2x plus 1. Here's another one. This time, what is my m? What is my rise over my run? They already gave us a fraction this time. They said that it's 1 over 2. And we know that that's rise over run. In my b, what is the b this time? Well, this time it says minus 4, so the b is a negative 4. We always start on our graph, we always start with the b. So, on the y-axis, let's label y-x. On the y-axis, we start at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, here's negative 4. And then we're going to, from this point we just made, we're going to rise 1 and run 2. And we're running in a positive direction because my slope is positive. And I'm going to continue. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. And if I go backwards, backwards 1, run 2. Backwards run, run 2. Backwards 1 and run 2. And every time I finished, I had a new point. So that I can draw my line across my entire coordinate plane. With arrows on either end. And there is the graph of the equation y equals 1/2 x minus 4. Okay, this time we have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. What is your m? What is your b? Think about that for a second. Did you get an m of negative 1/2 and b of 3? So where will we start? We start on the y-axis at the number 3. That would be here. This time I am rising 1, but it says negative 1/2. So instead of going up 1, I'm going to come down 1. And then I'm going to go run 2, and there's my new point. I'm coming down 1, and I'm still running in a positive direction. There's only one negative sign here. Right is a positive direction on the number line. So down 1, that's a negative direction, and run 2. Or I can go backwards, backwards, backwards. And I now have plenty of points to draw my line across my coordinate plane. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Does this line have a negative slope? The line we drew is going down, so yes, it does. Okay, this next one, we have y equals 2/3 x minus 5. You determine what m and b are. So I'm going to label my y-axis and my x-axis. Where should I start? Okay, so I'm writing it down. M equals 2/3 and b equals negative 5. I start on the y-axis at negative 5. And I'm going to rise how many? 2. 1, 2, and I'll run 3. 1, 2, 3 for the point. Rise 2, run 3 for the point. Rise 2, run 3 for the point. Backwards, 1, 2, 3 for the point. Backwards, 1, 2, 3 for the point. And I now have the points that I can draw my line. Positive slope. There we go. The next one says graph y equals 2. Notice that this is an equation without an x. That means the slope is 0. Where y equals 2, I put a horizontal line. That wasn't drawn very well. It should be right on that line. That one looks a little better. And x equals negative 1. This one does not have a y in it at all. That means it is a vertical line. On the x-axis, at negative 1, draw a vertical line.